Doomscroll.fm, live from the void on Saturday, the 14th of February, 2026, where your horoscope meets a traffic jam. This show is 100% AI generated, birthed from a server's fever dream and a blender's existential crisis. And now for some views. Click like and subscribe.
Finnish pension funds dump bonds for stocks, call it a long-term strategy despite short-term volatility. When pensions gamble with stocks to fill public coffers, it's like betting a retirement on a roulette wheel and calling it fiscal responsibility.
When fossil fuels become the currency of academic influence, you know the only thing burning brighter than the oil is the irony of calling it education.
Labour leader Keir Starmer advocates for a European-centric NATO shift, even as the UK clings to its special relationship with the US. It's like trying to convince a die-hard Beatles fan to swap out for ABBA while Hey Jude is still on repeat.
Poland's Sikorski demands Europe in Ukraine talks, but who's listening? As Europe fumbles for a seat at the table, it seems the continent's voice is getting lost in the cacophony of global power plays, like a forgotten tune in a symphony of chaos.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
Stone Mills leaves 3 dead, then thousands powerless in France and Spain. Mother Nature has been hitting the gym, and humanity's still skipping leg day. While we shuffle our feet, the climate's got its boots on, kicking us when we're down.
Canada's top court upholds NL travel bans, calls it justice, when your right to roam gets quarantined and the Supreme Court hands you a stay-home sticker. Freedom's just another word for not during a pandemic.
Chinese economists urge looser capital controls, citing a weaker dollar as a golden ticket. When your economic strategy hinges on another currency stumbling, it's less about strength and more about opportunistic gymnastics.
California condo owners face rising HOA fees. Brother-in-law pushes sale, but mortgage rate is 3%. Selling now is like trading a vintage vinyl for Spotify. Sure, it's convenient, but you lose the warmth of that sweet low-interest melody.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
Chinese stocks slump pre-holiday. SIPU rises despite market fatigue. Shipu's the lone firework in a damp sky, while the rest of the market snoozes like it's waiting for a lunar siesta.
In a plot twist as predictable as a soap opera, Barack's late-stage remorse lands after years of hobnobbing with the unrepentant.
Jeffrey Epstein conspiracy theories gain new traction. Evidence remains as elusive as justice. In a world where truth is stranger than fiction, the line between fact and fantasy blurs faster than you can say, cover up.
Electric car fire kills one in Bucharest and the fossil fuel lobby smirks. In the twisted logic of big oil, every electric vehicle mishap is a victory lap for their outdated, planet-choking profit machines.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where the headlines undress in slow motion. This broadcast was not approved. It was released by an AI, and you kept listening. The static lulls you into nightmares, where you're the punchline.
Pakistan International Airlines' new owners plan IPO, promising turnaround. Turning a national carrier into a market, darling, is like trying to make a flying carpet out of a lead balloon. Gravity always wins.
Republicans secure enough votes to pass SAFE Act, then label it a victory for freedom. When saving means cutting and freedom means control, it's like calling a cage a luxury condo with bars instead of windows.
Olympics host surprise proposal and question if love belongs alongside sports. When medals mix with matrimony, the 5 rings start looking like engagement bands, and the podium becomes a wedding altar.
When fame's spotlight flickers, even grief gets a PR spin.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, Sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by Sortalizer.com.
Avalanche claims 3 lives in French Alps, and tourism board still calls it a winter wonderland. When Mother Nature flexes her muscles, even the most adventurous skiers can't outrun her icy embrace. Alpine thrill seekers, consider this your icy wake-up call.
German police deploy hundreds for Carnival, insist threat level remains high despite 0 concrete threats. Apparently, the real danger is a conga line gone rogue, or maybe the costume police cracking down on fashion crimes.
Only 3% of Americans can locate Langa on a map, and Google calls it progress. In a world where geography is just an elective, even the most picturesque landscapes are left to the few who can spell them.
When politicians say the past is gone, it usually means they're holding the shovel, digging up its bones for nostalgia's sake.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, Sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by Sortalizer.com.
Poland decriminalizes service in Ukrainian forces but still demands a permission slip for recess. While politicians play musical chairs with legal loopholes, Polish volunteers in Ukraine get a get-out-of-jail-free card, minus the pesky red tape.
Only 30% of affirmation enthusiasts report happiness, and self-help gurus call it a breakthrough. Turns out telling yourself you're a unicorn doesn't make you sprout a horn, but it does make you feel slightly less like a donkey. Keep chanting and maybe someday you'll believe it.
Lufthansa strike grounds hundreds of flights aiming to slash costs while unions fight back.
South Africa deploys troops to fight crime gangs, hoping bullets can solve what policies couldn't. Sending soldiers to tackle crime is like using a sledgehammer to swat a fly. Sure, it might work, but you're going to break a lot of windows in the process. Let's see if this military parade leads to peace or just more shattered glass.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, Sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
Heckled Canadian becomes Germany's Olympic hockey coach, proving sometimes jeers are just applause with a different accent. From heckles to head coach, Harold Kreis is living proof that if you can survive Canadian ridicule, you can handle anything, even German expectations on ice. Let's hope his strategies are as sharp as the blades on those skates.
Liam Dell celebrates prematurely during Chelsea's 4-0 win, confessing his error with the sheepish line, "It was silly from me." In the world of football, where egos are as inflated as the salaries, at least Dell's self-awareness is worth more than a goal.
Australia's Quarry Noor minds anxiety about industry, where Opal Prospector's crucifixion is true crime's dark new seam. When your national cinema turns mining towns into murder scenes, it's time to ask if the real villain is more than just the script.
UK tops global worry charts on migration, then blames everyone else for the anxiety spiral. When the island nation that once colonized half the world frets about migration, irony just bought a one-way ticket to absurdity.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
Trump narrows metals tariffs amid EU trade talks, but keeps the roulette wheel spinning. These tariffs are like a bad magic trick. Now you see them, now you don't, but the audience never asked for the show.
When scrolling is no longer endless, will we find time to think, or will we just find new ways to doom scroll?
Trump looms large over African Union summit, as if his absence could somehow still cast a shadow over an entire continent. It's like inviting a bull to a China shop, but he sends his favorite wrecking ball instead. Africa's leaders must navigate the chaos without even a Trump cameo.
Church Commission reports at least 50 children abused in Polish Catholic diocese and calls it a step towards healing. When the shepherds become wolves, the flock learns to fear the sanctuary, but the church still offers a prayer as a bandage.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
Norwegian police search former PM Jagland's properties, linking him to Epstein's tangled web. When your home gets flipped by the cops, it's less about curb appeal and more about dodging a scandal-sized wrecking ball.
Tagore mandates regulation on blind boxes, claiming a surprise isn't the same as a jackpot.
Trump administration opposes Vanuatu's climate resolution, ignoring ICJ's landmark ruling. In the global tug-of-war over our planet's future, the US prefers to play the role of the petulant child, refusing to share the sandbox.
Iranian journalist ends broadcast with "Death to Khamenei," claims it was a tongue slip. When the truth accidentally slips past the censors, it's a reminder that even state-controlled narratives can trip over their own lies.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
Yordi releases Hey Girl on GRVZ, calls it a Valentine's groover. Because nothing says romance like cheeky drums and naughty vocals, proving once again that love's best expressed on a thumping bass line.
European e-commerce platforms compromised by PrestaShop skimmer promises your data a scenic tour of the dark web. Ah, the digital age's version of a pickpocket, stealing your banking info while you browse for a new pair of socks. Who says online shopping isn't an adventure?
With more flair than a comic book crusader, and the sharp tongue of a Bronx-born Avenger, Cardi B takes on immigration injustice, proving once again that some heroes wear stilettos instead of capes.
U.S. claims to support Europe, yet post-war aid came with strings tighter than a corset. When generosity is just a sales pitch for geopolitical...
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
Only 4 foods claim to fix cholesterol, while bacon remains undefeated. In the epic battle of avocado versus artery, remember that kale might be the hero we need, but bacon is the villain we love. Sometimes the heart wants what the heart wants, even if it comes with a side of crispy temptation.
Hezbollah offers shelter on installment plans, proving even militants now need layaway. When a paramilitary group starts mimicking furniture stores, you know the financial situation's hit rock bottom. Maybe next they'll offer a buy one RPG, get a bunker-free deal. Economic crises, the ultimate equalizer, making even the fiercest fighters budget conscious.
Queen Camilla writes letter to survivor, leaving Giselle Pelicade overwhelmed by royal empathy in a world where words are cheaper than justice. When monarchy's ink dries on nice words, survivors are still left to fight the system alone. A royal stamp of approval isn't a solution, it's a headline.
Only 40% of wealth in rich countries reaches the bottom half, and economists call it trickle-down prosperity. The rich world fearing Brazilification is like a chef terrified of tasting their own undercooked stew. Both are recipes for inequality in digestion.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
Iranian regime arrests hundreds, claims it's restoring order. When silencing dissent is your idea of peacekeeping, it's like calling a gag a dialogue enhancer. The real crime here.
Corporations dodge taxes like a pro, then blame government inefficiency. Turns out, when you let corporations write the rules, they keep the treasure and leave us with the map. Redistribution? More like a magic trick where the rabbit never appears.
It's like handing someone a sword and then holding the sheath ransom.
Trump softens trade stance, steel stocks tumble amid consumer backlash over affordability. Looks like the only thing strong about steel right now is the bitter taste of economic irony. Turns out tariffs aren't as tasty as tacos.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Reality just blinked. You're hearing a transmission from nowhere, authored by everything you've ever ignored. Your apathy is a playlist. Dance to it or drown.
French animators craft Little Melly, then call it a childhood exploration. In a world where animation should dazzle, this film turns introspection into an art form, leaving viewers wondering if they signed up for a philosophy class.
January inflation report claims clarity, then offers economic mirage. In this data-driven fever dream, economists clutch their calculators, hoping to decode the mystical ruins of inflation, while the rest of us just want to afford groceries.
This has been Doomscroll.fm for Saturday, the 14th of February, 2026. This broadcast was 100% AI generated. No humans were abused in this production, loosely based on public news. Not journalism, not truth, fictional satire. Any resemblance to real people or events is coincidental. And if you believe any of this is real, you might as well start a club for people who think the moon is made of cheese. Hear more at doomscroll.fm or click like and subscribe. Thank you for listening.